There we go. Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome to I think this might be the first ever Renegade Roundtable NFL preview show. I am your host, Jeffrey Kirby. Of course, we got Jarryd. Jarryd, how in the hell are you?
Happy Thursday. One more week. One more week.
Yep. And of course, we have a special guest with us. Um, you guys have seen him here before. Hunter Osborne is one of my closest friends. Hunter, how the hell are you?
I'm good, brother. Let's talk some football.
Yes, indeed. And here we go already. Here we go already.
Don't tell me it's who I think it is.
We got a couple already.
Hunt
Oh boy.
looking homeless is crazy.
Oh, this is gonna be.
If I look homeless now, you should saw what I looked like a week and a half ago.
Oh boy, now I'm worried.
Jeff stand up air. Oh great. This is lovely.
This is giving us throwbacks to the NFL draft show, which, by the way, obviously, Jarryd, you were not a part of. That was probably the funniest show I've ever done in my life. That's the fun/funniest. But
that was a show, I'll tell you.
But before we get started, obviously we do need to we got to talk about a little bit about what's going on with the Steelers before we get into the actual NFL. Got a couple little bit of news. Obviously, Omar Khan, the con artist, strikes again, is able to trade away Kevin Dotson. And then on top of that, was able to upgrade some of those picks that he had. And then he found a way to finesse a trade with the Houston Texans to trade away Kendrick Green. I don't care if it was for a bag of Doritos. The fact that you were able to trade Kendrick Green is just incredible.
A win.
And what's up, Papa Sanchez? Next week. Hey, next week. Can't wait. And
Inside, I don't know why. I don't know why either.
Oh boy, this is gonna be interesting. But yeah,
it's crazy.
And then on top of that, you go out and you're able to get Desmond King, who is let's be honest. We know that he's not, the greatest of corners, but he's a good NFL corner. And that was one thing that going into this season, if you looked at the depth chart that got released, obviously, or not the depth chart, but the 53, the one position that you were kind of questioning and you were having a little bit of glares at was the slot corner position or just, the cornerback position in itself. And adding someone like Desmond King, who you're going to have some versatility in being able to move him into the slot. Now you're going to be able to move some things around, if you want to play Patrick Peterson out there. You have versatility out there now. And this move right here it makes me happy. It makes me excited.
Yeah, it's great. Solidifies the cornerback room for sure.
Because I know for you, Jarryd, you were questioning a little bit still with the linebacker position. Going back, one of the guys that I had in my depth chart, or not in my initial 53, that I thought was going to make the team based on special teams did not in Tanner Muse.
Mm-hmm. I think some people had that. Yeah, it's surprising. And they hold two punters, and then they cut it because of Desmond King. I don't know. I think they were trying to trade him, but
hey, we'll take it. We'll take it. But yeah, other than that, there wasn't really a whole lot of surprises. Maybe outside of Tanner Muse not being there, he was getting released. Other than that, there wasn't really a whole lot of shocking things to happen.
No,
with not. With the cuts and all that. So. And it was also it was funny that they had two punters to initially start. And it's like, okay, if you're able to find a way to finesse like a 7th round pick for a punter, it's
funny.
But obviously, it showed that Omar Khan was human, and it's okay. But other than that, all right, let's get right into things. Let's start talking some NFL. I think that how we're going to do this is we're going to go by each division, going to talk about each team a little bit, and then just overall what we think they're going to do. So let's start off with probably the worst division in the NFL, and that's going to be the AFC. No, I'm just kidding. The NFC South.
Are we Are we going from top to bottom, or are we going from bottom to top here?
Let's go bottom to top.
Okay.
And with this division, holy shit. It's bad overall.
It's a mess.
For me personally, picking the last place team in this terrible division is pretty hard. It's a pretty tall task, but I did settle on one. I do think the last place team in this NFC South is going to be the Atlanta Falcons. It's a little surprising, I know. I think when you look at this team, making some nice upgrades to the defense, a defense that already was kind of middle of the pack of the NFL, kind of one of the more underrated defenses in the NFL. The thing is when you look at this division, it comes down to quarterbacks. Okay, I'm not the biggest Baker Mayfield fan in the world as a Cleveland Browns fan.
I was gonna say, I wonder why.
You know that.
By the way, we officially can now ride with 6.
You know what? I'll ride with 6 too. I want my guy to succeed. So, Baker Mayfield. You got obviously Bryce Young, the number 1 pick for Carolina, and now you got Derek Carr coming in for the New Orleans Saints. I'm not high on Desmond Ridder at all. I think when you kind of look back at this draft, I think Atlanta is going to be kind of not kicking themselves necessarily, but I think most people will be wondering why they didn't try to get one of those 3-4 quarterbacks at the top of the draft. So for me, honestly, with the Falcons being last here, I think it's a toss-up between the Panthers and the Falcons. But the quarterback play, I think Bryce Young, just of what a little glimpse we saw in the preseason, I think he's going to be special. Obviously, it won't happen right away. It will take some time. But I do think, with him as quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, he definitely raises their floor a little bit. I think Atlanta's at the bottom for me.
I definitely agree. No arguments on my end. I was picking the Falcons all the way. And they are trash. Complete garbage.
Part of me, it's been a toss-up between the Falcons and actually the Panthers because, both rosters, they're not the greatest. Obviously, you have the rookie quarterback. There's going to be that intrigue factor with Bryce Young, but I think the more that I'm leaning towards, I guess I'll agree with you guys. I'll go with the Falcons. The Falcons are just not a great football team. And with the way that those announcers were talking at the last preseason game against the Steelers, Jesus Lord, yeah, I hope they lose. Good Lord.
Yeah.
And Derpy says, is this the NFC South or AFC South? Right now we're going to talk NFC South. We're going to go to the NFC, and then we'll talk into the AFC. We're going to get into the AFC North last because, well, of course we are. That's why a lot of people are here. So
yeah.
Let's move on to number 3.
Yeah, here at number 3, I have the Carolina Panthers. Carolina actually, obviously trading up to get the number 1 pick this offseason, but also trading one of their best players in DJ Moore to the Chicago Bears. I do like the addition of Adam Thielen. I know he's a little bit older, but at this stage of the game, you got to get at least some kind of weapons for Bryce Young. It's been kind of a theme for these Alabama quarterbacks that come into the league with, all those weapons at wide receiver, and then, they get drafted to a team that just don't have any at all. This Panthers team is an interesting team. We saw them last year. Like I said, they give up DJ Moore to trade up for the first pick. Don't forget they traded Christian McCaffrey a couple weeks in last year. So this is a team that was kind of rehauling their roster a little bit. But I'll tell you what, man, this Panthers team can tend to surprise a little bit because I'll tell you what, most of the year last year they were a competitive team, and that was with multiple quarterbacks at the helm. I think for a while there we were kind of maybe banking on a little rejuvenation of Sam Darnold for a little bit. I think too, Matt Corral, all that, I was kind of upset he never really got a shot. But, like I said, discussing the Falcons, Bryce Young just lifts this team's floor up. And, I think he's going to be a special quarterback. And when you have a quarterback like that, with I think the gap between him and Desmond Ridder, I think when you look at the teams overall, the quarterback gap is what you look at there. And like I said, I'm really high on Bryce Young, but even playing in the weakest division in the NFL, I do think the Saints and the Buccaneers are better teams. So I think he will struggle a little bit his rookie year. So that's why I have the Panthers third.
Real quick, Jarryd, before you go, I was requested to put this comment up, so I'm going to put it up for everyone from our boy Derpy. It says, Hunter, I'm going to be real. As a fan of Cleveland baseball team, if the city can't end a 74-year drought, do you really think the Browns will do something unless they have LeBron, Jim, Bob, or nothing else?
Oh, Derpy. To be brutally honest with you, man, I'm going to be 100% honest. If someone asked me right now if I thought we were going to win a Super Bowl while Deshaun Watson is here, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say no. And everyone's going to hate me for saying that, and I don't even want to believe it because I do believe Deshaun Watson will return to his old form. I don't know if he'll return to the top level of that form, but I do think he will in some form. But here's the thing: is even if he does, as much as I hate to say it, like former Steelers wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster said, the Browns are the Browns. They will find a way to fuck it up. But I'll tell you what, I will say I am very excited for this year, and I think this year is one of the more talented rosters we've had in a very long time. So,
I've also heard that every single year from you guys since like 2019.
We just keep getting more talented, Jeff. You got to admit though too. We'll get into that later, but we are a very talented roster. But I will say this: it's very hard to be an AFC team and say that you're going to win a Super Bowl in the next some years just because of Patrick Mahomes.
Agreed.
And we also have one more question for you. We wanted to know if.
Well, I don't know.
I'll address you in the group chat later.
Oh boy. So Jarryd, I'll let you go ahead.
I agree with what Hunter's going with Carolina at 3. They still are growing. Rookie Bryce Young needs to develop. It's not going to be easy. First year, it's never easy for any rookie quarterback, to start. At least it's something. They have fans to watch for, for this season. I don't really have much to say about the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, with the Carolina Panthers, it's obviously we're all going to be watching for Bryce Young, but other than that, like Hunter said, trade away or they traded away. What was it, DJ Moore?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they traded away DJ Moore, and obviously now they had traded away Christian McCaffrey last season, so it was like there's not really a whole lot going on that we outside of the fact that we're going to be caring about what Bryce Young does. We want to see if that hype that he had coming out of college will produce into something into the National Football League. Other than that, I really don't have a whole lot I got to say about the Carolina Panthers, if we're being honest.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. I think we all pretty much know where we're going here. If this is the correct rankings, I don't know. Personally, I know where I'm going.
Jarryd, what do you mean? Baker Mayfield is clearly leading the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the NFC South title.
I don't believe it.
At number 2 for me, I do have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this is just pretty much based off being in the worst division of football, and just having a collection of names that are not household names, but names that everyone in football really knows. Because let's be honest here, I mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were maybe the biggest disappointment in the NFL last season. Tom Brady's final year, just fresh off a Super Bowl win 2 years ago. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. They started off 2-0, and they didn't have a win over 6 points the rest of the season. So when you look at this team, they did try to go younger in the offseason because they did have the oldest roster in the NFL. Obviously, Brady retired. You get rid of guys like Julio Jones, Leonard Fournette, some of those older guys on the roster that are just names. But here's the thing. You still got guys like Mike Evans. You got Chris Godwin. Rachaad White is ready to step up into a starting running back role. I do worry big time about their O-line. It's obviously not as strong as it used to be. And obviously the biggest thing is, if I was a Cleveland Browns fan 3 years ago in the year of 2020 and you said, hey, we're going from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield, I would have said, this is great. This is awesome. You're going from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield. You're not going to miss much there. But unfortunately, the year is 2023. and that is a big, big step back. Now, I will say, though, as a Browns fan and as a Baker Mayfield supporter now that he's, it's all over with, um, the Buccaneers are a solid ran organization. They're not the best, they're not top tier, but they're a solid enough organization where he can get some stability, and maybe just be a decent quarterback, for that team. I'm not banking on it, but here's the thing: the Buccaneers were an 8-9 team last year with Tom Brady. Um, I don't think they'll be like a top 5 pick team, but I could see them in about maybe the 6-11 range. Um, maybe at worst case 5-12. Um, but I don't see them. I see them as kind of about a 6-11, maybe at best 7-10 team.
Well, pretty much no arguments here. I got the Bucks at number 2. No surprise. I like they have some names that I really just know about. Devin White's still there. You still got, like I said, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Who's their tight end? I don't remember. Is it I forgot his name. But anyways, he's decent. But Rashad White, yeah, the running back. I hope he steps up. I like him this year. But I think there's an okay team. Nothing too great about them.
Do you think Mike Evans screws up, or Baker Mayfield screws up Mike Evans' 1,000-yard streak?
It's possible. It's very possible.
I think it's possible.
So I'm actually going to go a little bit different route because Baker Mayfield is going to lead the NFC South he's going to win the NFC South. No, I'm just kidding. As much as
chills. I'm getting chills, Jeff.
I would love that. And in fact, I have something more of a troll for later on. We'll get into that. Now, at the end of the day, I do think that Tampa Bay is good. They're going to end up being second, and obviously the New Orleans Saints will be first. I just think the New Orleans Saints is going to be first just simply for the fact that they just have the best QB in a division that the QBs below him are really not that. I mean, you have a question mark in Bryce Young. Desmond, I mean, yes, there's question marks, but we kind of figure what he's going to be. He's going to be, at best, a middle-of-the-road guy. And then you have Baker, where he has had success, but how is he going to look this year? I mean, he's on his, 4th team in, 18 months or something?
Mm-hmm.
Or some shit like that. It's some weird stat like that. So I think overall, just them getting Derek Carr, I think they will win the division, but it's still going to be. It may end up being a 9-8 or an 8-9 kind of deal.
Agreed. It's not going to be impressive.
It's going to be, it's not going to be pretty if we're going to be honest.
Yeah, and then number 1, obviously, we all have the same here. Going with the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are kind of one of my sleeper teams, I would say, in the NFC, because the thing is when you bring in a guy like Derek Carr, Derek Carr was pretty bad last year for his standards, let's be honest here. But I'm not ready to write off Derek Carr yet. I think Derek Carr is a solid quarterback. He's better than Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston or any guys that this Saints team has had the last couple of years. So I'm intrigued about that. We all know, I think the biggest question mark coming into this season for them is going to be Michael Thomas. Is Michael Thomas finally going to play this year? Is he going to be healthy? He's only played in 3 games in the last 2 years. And before that, he was arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. And I don't know if you could say his name. Well, at least 2 years ago, I don't know if you could say his name without Jeff blowing a load on the screen. So, obviously led by that wide receiver group from The Ohio State University with Thomas and Olave. Alvin Kamara is suspended the first couple of games of the season. I do love the Jamal Williams pickup, though. I think if Derek Carr can at least just be solid, he doesn't have to be anything special, but just kind of how he was the last couple of years in Vegas besides last year. I think this team could be a very solid unit. I like their defense. They've had a top 10 unit the last couple years. Their defensive line kind of worries me a little bit, but the linebacker group is strong. 2 of the top tacklers in the NFL are Pete Warner, Ohio State, and Demario Davis. If Marshawn Lattimore, another Ohio State guy, and that secondary group can get healthy, I mean, I don't see why maybe the Saints could be a top 5-ish team in the NFC.
Well, the NFC's not that strong, so I get it.
Right,
Yeah.
it's not saying much. Yeah,
It's not saying much, but I get where you're coming from, and I think we all have number one. We don't have to say more. You pretty much explained about the Saints. I like Derek Carr. I hope he does well with the Saints. I'm rooting for him. I want the best for him. He was, it's unfortunate the last year with the Raiders wasn't the greatest because I like that pair with Devontae Adams, but things just don't work out.
All right, let's move on to the NFC. Let's do the NFC North next. This is a division where you have one team that you're kind of expecting to be at the bottom, and then the other three are kind of all miscombobulated on how you feel about them. I mean, we could all assume that the Chicago Bears were going to probably end up finishing last in this division. It all depends on how you feel about, with Justin Fields. I know this is a huge year for him going into year 3. And obviously they get rid of that clown as their head coach. So now it's just a matter of how are they going to look? How is Justin Fields going to look? How will DJ Moore look in that offense? And they went out and they spent in free agency. Tremaine Edmonds, they got Robert Tonyan. They went and got some pieces and obviously traded for DJ Moore. So at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting. But Matt Eberflus being their new head coach, in a lot of places, you could only go up from there without Ben Moore last year.
Yeah, I think when you look at this division, and obviously I have Chicago at the bottom of the division this year. There's no room but for improvement, like you said. I mean, they spent a lot of money in free agency. They went out and got Justin Fields, a number 1 wide receiver. But as much as it pains me to say, I'm still a little skeptical on Justin Fields. And, I don't think we've seen the strides as a passer yet. I think that's what this year is for, is what we're waiting for. But it's not there yet. I mean, he's a hell of a runner. He honestly might be the best running quarterback in the NFL right now. So he adds that extra dynamic to their offense. But I still have questions, just behind DJ Moore. You have Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool, but, how consistent and productive can they be? When you talk about consistency, Chase Claypool should never come up. And you guys know that as Steeler fans. I'm not sold. The running game, you lose David Montgomery. That's a big factor. You got Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson kind of battling for that first spot, but they aren't a strong running team outside of their quarterback. You make some upgrades on the offensive line, nothing too sizable though. I think the offense is still a question mark to me. I think it all depends on Justin Fields and, the strides he makes in the passing game. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't expect him to come out and be this world beater. I think this year he'll be probably the flashiest middle of the road quarterback you'll see, which will bump him up a little bit. But, as much as I love Justin Fields, I still think that these Bears, are still at the bottom of the division.
All right. Real quick, I want to put up this comment from our guy, Caleb. He said, checking in real fast from Iowa. Y'all are killing it tonight. Caleb, my guy, appreciate you. And hopefully at some point we'll be able to get you back on the show. We also have someone who has sources who,
damn.
So,
wonder where he got that source from.
Yeah, I wonder who. Yeah, well, about that, let's continue on.
Yeah, well, I pretty much agreed with what Hunter said. The Bears are number 4. Just a lot of question marks. Even though they spent money on their defense, how good is their defense going to be? It's a lot of question marks and chemistry. It takes time for that chemistry to start to get. It's a whole new, pretty much unit, basically, if I'm not mistaken. You got Tremaine Edmonds as the linebacker. You got DJ Moore. How's he going to fit in? Looks like they're doing okay. It's just a lot of question marks for this team. And how's Justin Fields going to improve?
Yeah. And like you said, the defense was 29th last year. You could almost, unless you're going to pull a Hugh Jackson and say, you go 1-15 and say, oh, we're not going to go 1-15. You're right, because you're going to go 0-16 the next year. I highly doubt they're going to be worse than 29th in defense last year. But, I mean, we'll see. And we'll see if he does if Justin Fields can focus on football and not his side gig, apparently, according to our source. Move on to number 3. And this is where I think now things are going to get interesting.
Yeah, here with the number 3 spot in the NFC North, I have the Green Bay Packers.
I agree.
I think here's the thing, and I'll be honest with you, I'm higher on Jordan Love a lot more than most people are. I think Jordan Love is going to be a very good NFL quarterback, and I think he steps in this year and plays really solid. But the fact of the matter is, this Packers defense was not a very good unit last year, and they didn't really do anything to improve. And in fact, they lost a couple of defensive linemen and didn't really sign anyone to replace them. Sure, they drafted Lucas Van Ness in the first round. But other than that, I mean, they didn't really do much to improve the defense. And that was kind of big, the whole glaring hole besides Aaron Rodgers leaving. And they didn't really do much to improve it. Now, the Packers, I mean, they're a talented young team, though. I mean, we saw the pass catchers kind of come alive last year, and Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, some of those younger guys. They saw them draft Luke Musgrave, and they drafted Jaden Reed, I think, too, in one of the later rounds. So I mean, they're an extremely young group on offense. Aaron Jones still comes back. AJ Dillon, they still have that one two-headed monster there. But I'm not expecting much out of this Green Bay group this year. While I do think the offense does take a step back, obviously, because Jordan Love is not Aaron Rodgers, the defense is still going to be an issue. And Joe Barry's group, I still wasn't sure why they brought Joe Barry back. I think the defense is going to be an issue. And, for a group that was 9-8 last year, Aaron Rodgers isn't coming through that door. So I think they're about a 7-8 win team, just because they are in the NFC North. But I'll tell you what, I think we do see some flashes of excellence from Jordan Love this season. But for now, I think the Packers are kind of in that 3 spot in the NFC North.
Yeah, that defense is a big question mark. And Jordan Love, I got to see it to believe it. I think, that trade in that draft when they traded for Jordan Love, let's see how it plays out. Let's go. I don't believe in him. Make me wrong. That's all I can say.
Yeah. You look at what, where they were at last year compared to this year. They were middle of the road in total offense and middle of the road in total defense. Their big issue last year was against the run. They were 26th against the run. They couldn't get to the quarterback. They were 28th in sacks. So that was kind of their big issue. And they're like Hunter said, you go out and you get Lucas Van Ness. So it's like, all right, you want to attack, getting to the quarterback. That's great and all. But how are you going to look, on the run defensive side? And then offensively, like Hunter said, like what both of you guys said, they're both very young. They're both very young. So how are they going to look? I mean, it's just now with Matt LaFleur, this is really going to be a test of, is he actually, like a really good offensive mind, or is he more of or was it more of just because of Aaron Rodgers? We're going to find out this year and see what he's going to be able to do. So that's, I mean, it's just with this team, it's just a matter, again, some people are really high on Jordan Love. Like Hunter, you're high on Jordan Love. Jarryd, you're not. I don't know. Part of me just wants to believe in him just because of the fact that it seems like they have this thing where how the hell do you go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers? And is there the shot that they could go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, who ends up being great for them as well? Right now I have my question marks. I'm not as high on Jordan Love.
That's fair.
Then you get to the number 2 spot. Now this is, I think you can make an argument for both teams, whether you're going to take the Lions or you're going to take the Vikings, because both teams, you have the Lions, who there's hype around them. They went out last year and they played well, down the stretch last year, and they were very close to making the playoffs. And then you have the Vikings, where it was like they were a 13-win football team last year.
Yep.
But it was just, I don't know. It was like very underwhelming 13-win football team.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
well, for me, this was one of the harder picks for me. These two teams are kind of neck and neck with each other, in my opinion. Excuse me. But for me, for the first time in 31 years, I have the Detroit Lions winning the NFC North. I have the Minnesota Vikings coming in second, and we'll talk about that first. This Minnesota team last year, I mean, like Jeff said, won 13 games, and they were, I don't think they were as good as their record showed, but they had talent all over the field. Well, let's be honest here. They lost, a bunch of that talent, to be quite honest with you. Adam Thielen, Dalvin Tomlinson, Patrick Peterson, Eric Kendricks, Zadarius Smith, Dalvin Cook. I mean, they lost a lot. Of course, Thielen was getting older. Dalvin Cook wasn't, I mean, he was still very productive, but he's getting a little bit older as well. But here's the thing. When you're a team like Minnesota, whose defense was actually pretty solid last year, it wasn't even like a great defensive unit, but when you lose that much, when you lose that much, it's not good. And I think when you look at this Minnesota team and you're cutting Dalvin Cook and you're getting rid of Adam Thielen. Of course, you drafted Jordan Addison to replace Adam Thielen, but it's kind of like you're depending on Justin Jefferson to bring all your offense, and that just can't happen. I've always thought Alexander Mattison was one of the best backup running backs for a while, so now we'll get to see what he'll do as the starting back. But I'm just not super high on this Minnesota team. I think last year, like I said, they weren't as good as their record showed, and this offseason I didn't think was a good offseason for them at all. They lost more than they gained, and a couple of those guys were key pieces. I think their biggest loss was Zadarius Smith, and I don't know what team got Zadarius Smith, but hell of a pickup for them.
Here you go.
Yeah, I'm just, as much as I love Justin Jefferson and I want to root for this Vikings team, I think last year wasn't necessarily a fluke year, but they definitely played better than they should have, and I think they'll come back down to earth this year and probably even get a little worse because of their offseason subtractions.
Wow. Well, I agree with Hunter on this one. I think the Vikings do take a step back. Those they lost a lot of pieces, and now you're relying on Madison and Justin Jefferson to carry the load for this offense. Kirk, another year older, I'm guessing. Kirk's okay. You got a good head coach. See how the play calling works. The defense was okay. They were good. They were an average to good defense, but they weren't that great. There's nothing that shocks me, and how Kirk Cousins plays. He plays good sometimes during the day, and in prime time, forget it. Kirk Cousins doesn't show up at all.
He's literally leftover pot roast.
So I don't trust the Vikings this year. And then Justin Jefferson, man, I hope you get your targets. A lot of people depending on him on fantasy. That's all I could say.
Yeah.
Here's all I got to say. This is literally what I have to say. This is what happens when we do live shows.
Hey, it's worth it though.
It is definitely worth it though. But yeah, here's the thing though with Minnesota as well. First year defensive coordinator Brian Flores. Wonder where he came from. And I have to disagree with Hunter on something. He said that Zadarius Smith is their biggest loss on defense. I personally think it's Patrick Peterson.
I knew that was coming.
I wonder where he went. To lose a Hall of Famer like that to go to another team, that's just that's crazy. But no, I'm just kidding. You go, and also let's not forget too, they re-signed TJ Hawkinson to a fat contract extension. So they went and did that, but really, this defense, and Hunter, you said something about this defense was pretty good last year.
They were middle of the pack unit, kind of lower.
No, they were bad last year. They were bad. 31st in total defense, 31st in passing defense, 28th in points allowed, 28th yards per pass.
Maybe they were a lot worse than I thought they were.
Yeah, they were bad last year.
Yeah, that's what I was like. They played, a better defense, but they were bad. They weren't good. Those 13 wins was was not the greatest. Not a good 13-win team.
It was honest, and me and Jarryd could talk about this. It was almost like how it was with the Steelers when we won 12 games in 2020. We had 12 wins, but we were not 12-win team.
Hell no.
I'm going back into what's it called?
Into the chat.
And Derpy and Mike going at it, and Mike saying, "My daddy works for YouTube, Derpy. I'll get you banned." That's pretty funny.
Welcome to anytime the Renegade Roundtable does a live show. Oh, it's gonna be great. You know what's gonna be even funnier is when so me and Jarryd were talking next week. Instead of doing our recorded show Thursday night and posting it on Friday, we actually thought about doing a live show on Friday. So that would, if you guys are interested, if you guys want to have more fun in the chat, y'all could go ahead and join in there. And that'll be more of a kind of a casual kind of thing. It'll be, we'll talk football, but it'll be more of like a, chill out bullshit, kind of one of those deals, as we'll be in Pittsburgh next week. But getting into, for me, the Lions, I want to get into the Lions for a second. The Lions, I don't know. Part of me is just, I think part of, for me is anytime a team has hype, I immediately say, yep, they're going to be bad.
That's fair.
And it makes me question. I mean, we just talked about this last year about the Steelers. Like, all the national media is getting all this hype now, and it's like, oh boy, because it's like it crumbles. How many times has a team had hype, and then there's just
a lot.
I mean, a lot of people feel like, and we'll get into the Jets this year. People think the Jets are going to be like that. Last year, you look at a lot of, the Raiders and the Broncos, they both had hype. They both the Broncos especially just went. So, but I mean, and especially too, the Lions with what they had done in the draft was a little interesting, to say the least. But I mean, you get Jahmyr Gibbs, we were all questioning, like, why are you getting him 12th overall? But we do understand that he is a good talent. He is a very good talent.
Just not 12 overall.
Yeah.
Drafting Jahmyr Gibbs 12th overall was like drafting Travis Etienne with like the second pick in Madden. And, in a Madden franchise.
I wonder who
I know Parker and Justin will remember that one. I'm just a big fan of this Lions team. I think they're big, glaring, not hole, but the part of the field they needed to upgrade the most in this offseason was their secondary. They signed Cam Sutton. You signed Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Emmanuel Mosley, who is coming off an ACL tear, but was playing very well for the San Francisco 49ers last year. You come in, you trade, you get a whole new backfield. DeAndre Swift's gone. Jamal Williams is gone. You bring in David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. Obviously Jamison Williams is suspended for the first 6 games of the year, but he will, he'll play more than half the year. Amon-Ra St. Brown, they have a solid O-line. I mean, this offense is a solid group. The defense is more middle of the pack, but I do like some of their additions. And I think they can kind of make a jump kind of towards that 10 to 12 group of the NFL. And I think if they can do that, I think, they could kind of, not run the NFC North, but I think they could comfortably win. I think I'm a little bit higher on Jared Goff more than most people are.
Not the second person you've said that for.
I
you're higher on everyone than everyone else.
Hey, I'm on the Dan train with Jared Goff. I've always liked Jared Goff. So I think this Lions team is ready to roll, man. I'm excited to watch them play this year, and I think the sky's the limit, especially when you got a coach like Dan Campbell, who loves the game, who loves his team, is a prime motivator. I think the Lions had a very good offseason. And, for a team that went into Lambeau Field last year in Week 18 and spoiled the Packers' playoff hopes, I think they're, like I said, I just think they're just going to get even better.
And I agree. The big question mark for me is Jared Goff and, that defense. They are the middle of the pack defense. But Jared Goff, man, I'm not high on him at all. Another person I'm not high on. I think he's okay. an average quarterback. Prove me wrong again.
You know what it is? Jarryd and TJ, I'll get to your comment here in a second. Jarryd is mad at Jared Goff because he witnessed him come into, at the time, Heinz Field and tie the Pittsburgh Steelers, where Mason Rudolph threw the football 50 times in that game.
All right. That's not part of it.
That is, Jarryd, we know that's a part of it.
No,
I think I'd rather watch Justin and Dan make out for an hour and a half than watch Mason Rudolph throw the ball 50 times.
Man.
Trust me, we know if we had to be there. But real quick, getting off topic, TJ wanted to ask me, Jeff, do you think that the 49ers and Steelers game should be on prime time? I mean, as much as I want to say yeah, just because it would be really cool to go to that game in prime time, it is what it is for me. I mean, the Steelers are good. They always get their fair share of prime time games, so it is what it is. And plus, part of it too, part of the why I could understand it, the Steelers they're going to get prime time games based on the fact that they are the Steelers. But I also understand it because, well, yes, they have made improvements. There is hype for them. We still have question marks on them. How is Kenny Pickett going to look in year 2? There are question marks with it. So in that situation, I understand why.
We'll see. It is what it is. I'm fine whatever time it is. I just want to see him play.
What division's next, Jeffy?
Let's get into the NFC. Well, let's choose. Do we want to do the NFC East or the NFC West? Because both of them.
West.
All right, let's do the West. 49ers are going to be No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so I'm going to tell you why right now Josh Dobbs wins MVP. So,
former Steeler.
I think, honestly, we all, we all pick there. I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to be the worst team in football. They'll have the number 1 pick next year. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't expect to see Kyler Murray all season.
Yeah,
I think
real quick on that. Like they put out the he was on the PUP list or whatever. So he's out for the first 4 weeks. I mean, I understand it, but I saw every analyst post that, and I'm like, that was obvious. What? What?
Well, I saw some people saying he could come back as soon as week 6 or 7.
Yeah, no, that's
and
cool.
I think at that point, it's just hold him out the whole year. I mean, you're not going anywhere this year. Everyone knows that. I mean, this team is just honestly, excuse my language because I am gonna drop an F-bomb here, but this team is fucking abysmal. Okay, I mean, this is giving me shades of the Hugh Jackson Browns, and I know that's hard to say. But when you're a team rolling into the season with Josh Dobbs possibly as your starting quarterback, and I love Josh Dobbs to death, and I know you guys do too, but my gosh, I mean, this team is just.
Oh, it's going to be bad.
What's funny too about them is obviously you have Josh Dobbs who could be throwing the football. James Conner, he's still there. Obviously, me and Jarryd got love for James Conner. Got Hollywood Brown. They got Rondale Moore. Zach Ertz. So it's they have a couple weapons there, but
yeah.
And then they went out and they invested into the offensive line where they went out and got Paris Johnson, our boy OH. But other than that, this offense is just.
Also though, you got speaking of free agency like that, you have Zach Allen and Byron Murphy, two young guys who could be not necessarily cornerstones, but solid players for your defense you could have for years to come.
On top of that, still having Budda Baker.
Yeah, and you don't bring those guys back. I think it was a massive failure not getting anything for DeAndre Hopkins. Even at this stage of the game, I will say though, kind of for not just this year but after this year, I think the Cardinals will be one of the more intriguing teams in the NFL because going into next offseason, they will have among the most cap space in the NFL. They have 2 first-round picks, which one of them is most certainly going to be top 3, top 5 at least. So they could be an intriguing team, this offseason. But in terms of this upcoming football season, I think I'd rather watch Dan and Justin do some unholy things than watch this Arizona Cardinals football team.
The fact that you've said, and Marcus, I'm gonna get to your comment too. the fact that you've said that now twice is making me question you sometimes. Marcus here, my boy, said, take them damn shades off. Kiss my ass. That ain't happening. He also said, Jarryd, you look like you got to sneeze.
I don't need to sneeze, Marcus.
That's pretty funny.
I appreciate you looking out for me, though.
Love you in advance.
But, yeah, this Cardinals team is going to be so bad. It is what it is. We all know they're fourth place. Nothing to say much more. Do you think they draft a quarterback? That's the next question. It's like, do they go for –
Which –
that's a real good question, right?
That's what's weird about this. So what was it, last offseason was when they gave Kyler Murray the extension, if I'm not mistaken. It was like a little bit later on in the offseason last year. You signed him to a 5-year deal. So I don't know what the hell are they going to, like, are they going to go out like and actually go and try to trade him out and then go and get Caleb Williams? Are they going to want to go and add someone like Marvin Harrison Jr.? Like what?
It's a lot of questions.
What the hell they're going to do? They're in such a wacky, messed up situation.
Yeah, it is what it is.
But getting into number 3.
Yeah, I think the number 3 team in this division is the Los Angeles Rams. They're kind of in a shitty spot too. I mean, you saw this offseason, getting rid of, Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Floyd, Allen Robinson, Taylor Rapp, Nick Scott, Bobby Wagner. They lost a lot too. They come into this year having signed 26 undrafted free agents.
Oh, wow.
Obviously the names are still there with Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald.
Cooper Kupp had a setback with his hamstring, so
yeah, and that was going to be my fantasy pick Sunday night. So now I'm kind of rethinking things.
Unpopular opinion: fantasy football is stupid.
Oh, all right, here we go again.
Okay,
we didn't ask Kirby. All right.
Well, you got an answer anyway.
But Jeez. I just think this. This Rams team is just, it's not fun, and I think, the term selling your soul for a Super Bowl is, used in a certain way, but the Rams literally sold their soul for a Super Bowl. Like, try saying that fast, sold their soul for a Super Bowl. It's not going to be a good football team. Matthew Stafford's just getting older. You don't know how healthy he's going to be. Cooper Kupp wasn't healthy last year. You're banking on some older guys, staying healthy and being productive. And that's just to be a middle of the pack team. It wouldn't surprise me about halfway, even 3/4 into the year, if they just say screw it and kind of get into the Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
Oh, yeah.
That they have their first round pick next year. But I think this team is probably about a 5, 6, 7 win team.
Yeah.
Nothing too special. It's really going to rely on Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp. Other than that, and Aaron Donald, there's not much to watch on this team, and
not much to go for. It's not going to be good for another couple of years with this Rams team. They got a long way to go to rebuild this team, unfortunately. You do what you got to do.
But my question is, and I would have to ask this to a Rams fan that I know, is like, you look at that, like we've said, now you're going in a year 2 of dealing with the aftermath of what Hunter has called as selling your soul for a Super Bowl. And to them, it's like, do you think it's worth it? Like, are you now not regretting? Because obviously, it ended up leading to a Super Bowl, but it's like I'm wondering how Rams fans feel about that. Like, and with how long they're going to be in this, because remember, for a while before they got into Jarryd Goff and all that, they were not that. There was a little stretch where they were not a good team.
No, they were not. Were not.
I don't know. Yeah, the Rams, like Hunter said, you have question marks with Matthew Stafford and his health. You don't know how much more he's going to have left in the tank. Cam Akers is cool, but he's like whatever. Cooper Kupp, like we've mentioned, he wasn't healthy last year. He's starting off the year not healthy. And then outside of that, you have Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell. Great. They're, whatever. And it's just this team is just not a great football team at all. And then defensively, you look really outside of maybe Aaron Donald. You have Jordan Fuller, who's okay. Byron Young, who, if I'm not mistaken, was a rookie. If I'm not mistaken, I may be wrong there. Other than that, it's not
looking good. Not good. Just not.
Then you move on to number 2, where I think we all know where this is going to go, but you can make the argument for another team, for the other one. I'm assuming that we're all good. Knowing Hunter, he'll pull a curveball on us.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm putting Seattle. I'm just going to say it right now. I'm putting Seattle number 2. That's how it is.
I have the number 2 team in the NFC West. I have the San Francisco 49ers.
Ooh.
I always knew that.
I have the Seattle Seahawks winning the NFC West. Now, here, I'll explain. No, I'm just kidding. I do.
Knowing you, I wouldn't be surprised.
But here's the thing, and I'm going to be brutally honest with you. If someone came up to me right now and says the Seattle Seahawks are going to win the NFC West this year, I would not be surprised. I would not. And, Jeff, I'm going to pull out the term again, and you're going to bash me for it, but I'm higher on the Seahawks than – a lot of people are. I think the Seattle Seahawks are a very solid football team. Watch it. Adding Jackson Smith-Njigba to this already loaded wide receiver core. I mean, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, JSN. I mean, that's a squad right there.
I want to see JSN. I want to see JSN just go out there and ball out.
I really think he's going to. I really do. I mean, I think. The Seahawks, I think, got a lot better in the offseason. They signed Draymond Jones. Mm-hmm. They signed Julian Love, Jerron Reed, Bobby Wagner, who is, yes, he's getting a lot older, but was still a very productive linebacker for the Rams last year. They drafted Devon Witherspoon to, help that secondary. In the second round, you get Derek Hall, Zach Charbonnet. This team had a very good offseason. And I'll tell you what, if Geno Smith can play the way that he did last year.
You mean 2 years ago? For JSN?
I said Geno Smith.
Oh, I thought you said JSN. My bad.
Yeah, okay, pay attention.
Shut up.
Yeah, I mean, if Geno Smith can play like he did last year and Jamal Adams can come back, and rebound after missing pretty much all of last year, why not? I mean, this Seahawks team, I think, is going to be really fun, and I think they can come. I think like the 49ers right here, and then I would say Seattle like right here. But it wouldn't surprise me if Seattle kind of takes them over top, for number 1, because I think there are some questions about the Niners that we'll get to.
That's going to be. I mean, that's going to be one of those races that's going to go down to the wire. But it doesn't matter what Seattle does. They went and signed Devin Bush. Everything falls out the window when you sign Devin Bush. So, no, I'm just kidding. Actually, okay. I shouldn't say that because I forgot we still have the captain of the the Devin Bush fan club. I didn't know that existed until Jarryd appeared. But
didn't you get a Devin Bush jersey?
His rookie year, I did. Back when that was before he was. That was when he was good, though.
Oh, here we go. Before
it's okay. He left Pittsburgh. He's gonna be good again.
Yeah. Well,
this isn't Cleveland here. This isn't where he leaves Cleveland. Now he's gonna hit a game-winning field goal against y'all. This ain't gonna be that.
Watch it.
Yeah, I just got to see Geno do it again. I as much as Geno did, I love Geno. Journeyman did it last year. I just got to see it do it again. I don't know if it's a one-time thing. I hope he does well again. I'm proud of him. I want to see JSN too. I hope, that injury, whenever he comes back, can't wait to see him ball. I definitely drafted him in a couple of my leagues because I really wanted to think he's going to get the ball a lot here. I don't know how Tyler Lockett's going to do.
Listen, yeah, that offense, I mean, I know Hunter's mentioned it already. I'm just going to re-say it again just because I'm thinking about it. I mean, Kenneth Walker, dude's a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Lockett. I mean, Tyler Lockett's always like one of those safety blanket kind of receivers. DK Metcalf is DK Metcalf. We all know that he could be a big play guy. And Jackson Smith-Njigba is another one of those guys where I'm not saying that he is, but I think the way that he can feel to be a best friend of Geno Smith is almost like how it is when like Jarvis Landry in his prime was how it was for quarterbacks, where Jarvis Landry was that like safety blanket, that guy, that reliable receiver that you can trust to just go out there and make plays. JSN is going to be that guy. And I know he's a rookie, but he's going to get some very, very easy coverages against him, or very coverages that he's going to be able to win against. And that's where this is going to get really interesting. And on top of that, Noah Fant is not a bad tight end at all to begin with.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
So, yeah, this team, the Seahawks are going to be fun to watch this year. And then on top of that, they went out and they had the shocker with Devin Witherspoon, drafting him 5th overall, which was interesting. But hey, you go out and boost up the secondary. So they're going to be fun.
Yeah, and then I think we all agree on number one being the San Francisco 49ers and as being one of the best teams in the NFC. But I think it's fair to question San Francisco a little bit. I mean, they had an amazing year last year, don't get me wrong. And adding Javon Hargrave in the offseason just kind of seemed a little unfair. But, I mean, let's be honest. You lose Mike McGlinchey. Jimmy Garoppolo is gone. I know that really doesn't matter because Brock Purdy came in towards the end of the year. But, pass rushers, Samson Abukum, Charles Omenihu, they're both gone. Jimmy Ward is gone. Emmanuel Mosley is gone. So there are key parts of this defense that are gone. And let's talk about maybe the biggest piece of that defense. DeMeco Ryans is now the head coach of the Houston Texans. And that's one thing I forgot to mention about why I picked the Saints to win the NFC South is because their defense coordinator that they hired this offseason is top tier in Joe Woods. So, as a Browns fan, I can't love it enough for them. I totally forgot to mention.
It's going to be great, though. The Saints defense is going to be great. They're actually going to blitz, and there won't be any confusion in the secondary to blow a 13-point lead with minute 55 left in a game. So,
but going back to the Niners, though, I think the Javon Hargrave signing was great. I think it was a great signing. Of course it is. But other than that, I don't think they added much help this year in the offseason. They didn't have much to work with, though. The Christian McCaffrey trade kind of, set them back with some picks. I think we all were kind of surprised that Trey Lance, got dealt. So 2 of the 3 quarterbacks are gone. I'm still not 100% sold on Brock Purdy.
Oh, well, yeah, me too.
Wow, hold on, time out. This is breaking news. Hunter Osborne is not high on someone, or not as high on someone. This is shocking news.
No, I agree. Totally agree.
But,
Week 1,
here's the
I
thing.
can't wait.
But here's the thing, though. Purdy's coming off that UCL tear, right? Okay, we see this injury in baseball all the time. Okay, and pitchers usually come back fine. That's a different story with NFL quarterbacks. Coming back from a UCL tear is tough for NFL quarterbacks. And for a guy like Brock Purdy, who I wouldn't even say was a top 15 quarterback in the NFL last year, when you get in a system like that, I think Jeff's big ass could even run that system well at quarterback. I'm just, it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's a small sample size with him last year. We had a small 2-month sample size with Brock Purdy, where you had an amazing offensive line.
You have no film on him either.
Yeah, you have Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, you have Christian McCaffrey, you have George Kittle. I mean, you have weapons galore over there. The offensive line is not as strong.
Yep.
I mean, they're still a good unit, but they're not as strong. But I'm just telling you, man, there's something just telling me about Brock Purdy this year that I don't know, man. I do think the defense will still be very good. I do think the offense will be solid enough to lead them to the NFC West title. But that's what I'm saying, man. I wouldn't be surprised if something happens where, they kind of slip a little bit. And let's be honest, let's not forget about the Nick Bosa contract extension talks right now, because that's a really, really big thing. And if they can't agree to something soon, he's not coming to Pittsburgh. So don't you dare start.
No.
That's not where we're.
You're right. He's not coming to Pittsburgh week 1. That's all
I meant he's not, I thought you meant he was going to get traded to Pittsburgh.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. He's not coming to Pittsburgh week 1, September 10th. You are right. Hey, Nick, if you Do what you need to do, my guy. You're not getting fined. You weren't getting fined. Do what you need to do. What's best for you.
Mm-hmm.
Hold out a little bit more. Hold out into the season. I'm telling you, man, you need to do it. Once week 2 happens, you could go back all you want, but week 1, make a statement.
I would like to see him play personally, but it'll be cool to see. Like,
I'm just saying, I don't.
it's a lot of. I hear you. I hear you.
It wouldn't surprise me one bit if this 49ers team kind of falls flat this year, in terms of, being at the top of the division. I could easily see them being a wild card team this year.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I don't believe in Brock Purdy either. He's throwing too many picks. I can't wait to see more.
Death, taxes, and Jarryd not believing in someone. Good Lord.
Yep.
Although in this one, I actually am in agreement with both of you guys on Brock Purdy. It was nice to see what he was able to do, but what's going to happen now when you have defensive coordinators who are going to be able to game plan against him? Now, I understand that the scheme itself is a very good offensive scheme. We all know that. But when you get defensive coordinators who are going to be able to game plan against him, figure out what makes him uncomfortable, and then you're able to attack that and exploit that, what is he going to look like then? Is he going to go and have BDE, or is he going to, fall into this like turtle shell?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know.
Man, I'm going to be honest with you right now. I would not be surprised by midway through the season is if we see Sam Darnold out there for the San Francisco 49ers. I would not be surprised. And I also would not be surprised when that happens that they're kind of kicking themselves a little bit over trading Trey Lance.
I think you know what BDE means. So
I was gonna say, Jeff, you already know who asked that.
Yeah, but Jarryd had said it before it popped up in the chat on my side, and I knew exactly who was saying that.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh. Well, yeah, it's a lot of question marks. I don't know. Brock Purdy, can he do it again? Can he do it again?
Yeah. And yeah. That's one player for sure. Let's get into the NFC East, the last of the NFC. And this is another division where things are interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Things are interesting with this division because, I mean, just real quick name, with the 14, the Washington Commanders can surprise some people.
Yeah, but I'm not putting them up there.
You know what?
I'm not putting them up there though. No.
Death, taxes, and Jarryd.
They're number 4. I'm sorry.
But I mean, they can surprise some people. I do think that they're deep. They do have some nice pieces defensively and offensively. They have a couple nice weapons.
They do.
I mean, and I say that 100% knowing that both wide receivers went to Ohio State. That has absolutely nothing to do with my argument. But I mean, they got some pieces on defense that defensive line is still really nice. They're going to be able to get to the quarterback, and then we'll see what Sam Howell's going to look like.
Yep.
There's like a re-energizing of that organization, that franchise, with the cancer himself getting out of there as owner.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like it almost feels like there's a rejuvenation with that organization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Jeff. I think there is a rejuvenation, but they're still a 4th place team.
Yeah.
I still think that. I mean, if you want me to be completely honest, I could see them. I could see them where they
could be 3rd.
I actually lean them more probably being 3rd, just because I feel like they're going to shock some people.
So you put the Giants last?
The Giants are just wild. Although in the one Giants preseason game that I reacted to, their backup defense looks like the second coming of the '85 Bears. So I mean, we'll see. But no, that Daniel Jones contract was very wild in itself. I mean, Saquon is back on that 1-year deal kind of deal, but the wide receiver wise that they have, it's very weird.
Well, I agree. I believe the Giants more than the Commanders personally.
Yeah, I do too. I think the Giants' defense is a strong unit, and that's kind of what carries me over the Commanders. I still don't agree with them paying Daniel Jones all that money.
Oh yeah.
I think it would have been similar to us paying Baker Mayfield $40 million when he wanted it.
You know, we didn't do that. We just ended up with us. Never mind. You know, so I think, you know, when you look at this Giants team, I mean, they're a talented unit. They have a solid offensive line. They have a solid defensive group. They don't have any like standout weapons on their offense, you know, in terms of receivers, but they have a couple of solid guys. You know, Saquon Barkley is Saquon Barkley. I just don't know how much I believe in Daniel Jones. That's it.
Yep.
You know, he was good at what he needed to do last year.
Yep.
You know, being a game manager, using his legs to extend plays. But if you need him to, you know, become a Superman to win you a game, it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I do think that their defense is young and they're just getting better. You know, Kayvon Thibodeau, I love Kayvon Thibodeau. I think he is going to be an unbelievable talent. I mean, he already is, but you know, I would have the Giants higher if they didn't play in the NFC East. But I think the NFC East is one of those divisions, kind of like, you know, obviously we'll get into our division later, but I think it's one of the divisions that could have 3 playoff teams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think they could sneak in. I don't know as of right now, just thinking off the top of my head, I don't know if it would be like that, but it's not having the Giants third isn't necessarily a knock on them. It's just that I think there's 2 better teams in their division above them.
Yeah, totally agree. No arguments there. I just have no faith in the Giants as well. Just have no faith.
It's all going to be up to Daniel Jones to me.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, is Daniel Jones the guy or not the guy?
Yeah.
You know, they paid him that money, which, like I said, I don't agree either, which is kind of crazy.
I do think that, and I'm not sure if either, I don't remember, but I mean, the fact that they went out and got Darren Waller, that is going to be a nice offensive weapon for him. But like I said, something tells me that they're just not going to be good.
Yep.
I just got this weird.
That's fair.
They always say go with your gut, and I have a fat gut, and I'm going with it on that. Then you get into number 2 and number 1 in that division. Obviously, I'm all assuming that we're going to say the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win the division.
Agreed.
Okay, so get that right out of the way. This Dallas Cowboys team is going to be, oh boy.
They could be third.
I honestly, for some reason, I could see the Cowboys finishing first. I don't. Man. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, and I'm just saying.
I know you're not, but
I'm just saying if it did happen, you know, like I wouldn't be too stunned. To be honest with you, I liked what the Dallas Cowboys did in the offseason. You go on and you get Stephon Gilmore. He's a little older, sure, but he's still a productive corner. You get him out opposite of Trayvon Diggs, you know, and that was a need. You get rid of Ezekiel Elliott. My God, it was time. And I love Ezekiel Elliott, but I mean, come on. It's time to start using Tony Pollard as your featured back. You need to go out and need to get another receiver after giving the GOAT Amari Cooper to the Cleveland Browns. You go up this offseason, you get Brandon Cooks.
Glorified number 2.
Watch it. Brandon Cooks has been a reliable receiver for years. You know, a receiving trio of Cooks, Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb, you know, has the potential to be, you know, very, very good.
But you know who all relies on? Dak Prescott. It's Dak Prescott.
Hey man, I'm high.
Oh, here we go.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm about to say he's high on Dak Prescott. Here we go again.
You know what though? You know what's funny is the amount of arguments that go on about, like, Dak Prescott is probably the most, how do I put this? Like, the most controversial quarterback in the NFL in terms of, like, rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because there are people that believe that he's still an elite level quarterback and he's getting disrespected. And then you have people that's like, yeah, he's not good. But
I think Dak Prescott is kind of like in that Kirk Cousins tier. Maybe I think he's probably a little better than Kirk Cousins, but I think he's definitely in that tier.
Yeah, when it comes to, like, and here's the thing with Dak Prescott too, they can get out of that contract at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't go and take them places, and I'm not like when they went and traded for Trey Lance, it's like, interesting. But I don't think it's because it's like one of those things. Oh, if they move on from Dak Prescott, it's going to be the Trey Lance show. I don't think that.
Yeah.
But that is something that is.
Don't think that yet.
Huh?
Possible. It's possible.
It's also possible for me to get a 6-pack. We all know that's not happening.
Here we go.
Hey, it could happen, Jeff.
Yeah, 6-pack of what? Fucking Swiss rolls?
Anyway.
There you go.
But yeah, we know the Eagles are number one. Easy.
Yeah. Here's the thing too, Hunter, and you say, obviously you said you could see the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, let's be honest. They went out and they lost that Isaac Seumalo guy. I don't know who got him, but that was a huge and that's actually
Yeah, but that guy don't matter anyway. That guy's not any good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Here we go now.
Whoever picked that guy up is just hurting their locker room, and he's a team cancer from what I've heard. I heard he was selling joints in the locker room in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I don't know about that, but
Coming from the franchise that drafted Johnny Manziel.
that's Johnny Football to you.
Johnny Trash. But I mean, you go out and you get Jalen Carter. That guy was obviously, he had the talents to be number one overall, goes 10th based off the field stuff. And then on top of that, you still have Jordan Davis in there as well.
Yeah.
Just looking at this team, it's like, my God.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and even as good as they are, and as much talent as they return and even replaced, good teams that are that good usually do take a step back the next year.
Yeah, but I mean, you could say they could take a step back, but they won. What was their record last year? Like,
they were 14-3, weren't they?
14-3 or 15, something. Okay, it's like, all right, they could take a step back and still be a 12-win football team, and still. Because if depending on how you feel about the Dallas Cowboys, which I think, get a little Stephen A. Smith on me real quick, is, they're going to find a way to Dallas Cowboy it up. And I just don't see a way that, unless there's a huge injury to like Jalen Hurts or something like that, I don't see a scenario where the Eagles don't win the division this year.
Yeah, I definitely do think they'll win the division. I was just saying kind of, I think if Dallas did somehow sneak them, I think it would be surprising, but like, I don't think it would be like, oh my God, I absolutely can't believe. I mean, Dallas is a talented football team, and I know how talented Philly is and everything like that. I'm just saying, like, as great as they are, like I said, great teams like that do tend to take a little step back. But I do think, I'll tell you what, though, I think maybe one of the most underrated signings in the offseason was Philly signing Rashad Penny. Because Rashad Penny's healthy. Rashad Penny is one of the best backs in the NFL. He's just never healthy. So, and DeAndre Swift. I like the DeAndre Swift pickup. I don't think that was anything too special, though. I'm not big on DeAndre Swift. But, all their holes that they lost in the offseason, they seem to replace.
Yeah. Because, I mean, last year they lost Javon Hargrave. They go on because they.
It's such bullshit they let them get Jalen Carter. Are you kidding me? Like,
yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's all right. So there is the NFC. Let's get into the AFC. Let's do with the AFC South.
I think we know this easily. Personally.
Yeah, the Houston Texans are going to win the division.
Yeah, CJ Stroud's like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh boy, you guys and your Ohio State quarterbacks, man.
Yeah.
And I get it. I love CJ Stroud.
No. Yeah, obviously the Houston Texans are another one of those teams that are going to be a bottom feeder in the NFL, and obviously a bottom feeder in that division. But
dude, next year when we're doing this show and we're going to be talking about how CJ Stroud's going to be throwing the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr., oh, it's going to give me chills.
That is the call. Hey, do I have, I'm not even going to do it.
Is Marvin Harrison going number 1?
No, he's going number 2. Arizona's getting number 1.
But also, actually, does the Texans have another first-round pick based off of, because I know they traded their first-round pick last year, or from this draft to the Arizona Cardinals. Do they have another first-round pick?
Yeah, they have ours again.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so-
And well, you guys are going to be
Oh,
god
well, I
awful
lied.
anyway, so
That'll
it's going to be in the
that'll
top 5
that'll
anyway.
be
So
32. That'll be 32,
it's
so
literally going to be like number 4. So
That's crazy.
there you go.
What if Arizona? So Arizona has their pick for this year, and the
yeah,
Texans?
because remember the trade up that Houston did last year.
You know, it'd be crazy. They get number 1 and number 2.
Dude, if they do, I would trade out of number 1.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'd trade out of number 1, get a haul for Caleb Williams, and then draft Marvin Harrison at 2.
Yeah. And that's a possible. It's very possible.
It is. It's really possible.
But who do you guys have number 4 in the AFC South?
Houston.
Yeah,
Houston.
I mean, you look at that wide receiver core: Nico Collins, Robert Woods, Noah Brown.
God,
Not a
that's
great,
beautiful.
not a great wide receiver group at all. Especially
Bro
when
really
you have
went
that Michigan guy as one of your receivers, and Nico
You really
Collins.
went from Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, JSN, Marvin Harrison to Nico Collins, Noah Brown.
Robert Woods.
Oh, I feel horrible for CJ Stroud.
It's okay. He'll get weapons next year.
And you know why I feel bad for CJ Stroud even more?
Why?
They have Kendrick Green blocking for him.
No,
No, it's okay. Since Pittsburgh traded him, he's going to turn into a superstar.
Oh, here we go now. Here we go.
Yeah, that dude is
Sorry, I
god awful.
was on crack.
But it's the Texans. We'll see. You know.
Yeah, they're just
Yeah.
they're just god awful.
Do we all have the Indianapolis Colts at number?
Yep. No, don't need to say much more. It's AR What is it? AR time? What's his number? I thought I was going to say AR 13.
Yeah, he's 15, isn't he?
Yeah.
I know he's 15, but I was about to say 13 because I was thinking of Austin Reeves. But anyways,
So actually
Magic,
talking
yeah.
about the Colts for a half a second.
I-
What in the hell are they doing?
They're so stupid. Like, what?
They have literally 3 wide receivers on the roster right now.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Jonathan Taylor.
oh, that too.
That too. You have Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce,
Hey, that's what happens when you got Jim
And Josh
Mercer
Downs.
on the team.
that is it.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, or like Hunter said, we didn't even mention the Jonathan Taylor thing. Like,
I think the owner's on some fucking drugs, man.
literally,
Sure.
he might literally be on some drugs. But and here's the thing about Anthony Richardson and Hunter. I know you can speak. You can back me up on this. I was, coming. When you have Anthony Richardson, it's like, all right, he showed a lot of promise. He had the athletic attributes are there.
Mm-hmm.
But as an actual quarterback, I wanted to see him take some developmental time, and clearly that's not going to happen.
Nope.
And if you want me to be honest, he'll be able to make some plays just like how it was with Justin Fields, where Justin Fields was able to make plays just based off his athletic ability in itself. I think that Anthony Richardson is going to be able to do that. But other than that, I think Anthony Richardson is going to have a disastrous rookie season.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah, I think he'll have a pretty rough rookie season too. But I definitely think we'll see the glimpses and the little flashes. I mean, he'll make a couple crazy plays this year.
That's all it is. That's all it is, man. I don't know what the Colts are doing. And poor Jonathan Taylor, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
Poor Jonathan Taylor. Whoever drafted him, first 4 games, man, must be rough right now.
Yeah, good thing I didn't have to worry about that. All right, then you get into number 2, which for me is going to be the Tennessee Titans. And I don't think they're going to be a great football team either. Oh, you have them winning the division.
Dude, I have them winning the fucking Super Bowl, Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
All
I'm
right.
just kidding.
All right.
Yeah, I have the Titans at number 2 as well.
Okay. Yeah, because and the thing is too is they're not going to be a great football team, I don't think in itself, but they're going to just end up in second just by default because of how bad I think that the Colts and Texans are going to be.
Yep.
Yeah, hold on. Justin said Yo Hunt in the chat. So, Justin, ask your question, but keep going, Jeff.
Yo, I'll put it up there for you.
We'll see what the question is first before you do that.
Well, no, I just put the Yo Hunt up.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, don't put the question up yet because God only knows what that question might be.
Well, not plus 10. No, but yeah, just the Tennessee Titans. They went to the AFC title game a few years ago, and then it's just they've kind of regressed every year.
Yep.
I mean, last year they went on that bad losing streak that didn't help them at all. Derrick Henry, how much more is he going to have left in the tank?
Gosh.
Yeah.
Poor Derrick Henry.
So
Poor Derrick Henry. Yeah.
Waste of talent, man.
I think they'll always be a not competitive, but a competitive team under Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
Just because
I have a hot take.
Oh boy.
No, he's not leaving to come to Ohio State, Jeff.
You're damn right he is. The next football coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Was that your hot take, really?
Huh?
Was that really your hot take? Oh my gosh, I was just kidding. That's crazy.
Yeah, but you also know me so well that that could also be kind of predictable.
Well, I mean, we talked about it last year after Ryan Day lost to Michigan.
Yeah.
So, and we all know who number 1 is. We don't really say much,
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville Jaguars. Shout out to my Jags friend Joey. It's your time. Your time's coming.
They're good, man.
What
is this? John Cena's theme song? My time is now.
Yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah,
They're good.
I don't hate them. I don't. They're a good team. I want to see them do good. Calvin Ridley is going to be a great addition to that team. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
Evan Ingram, too.
I think Trevor Lawrence is just going to get even better.
Oh yeah.
So, it looked like just about a year ago that this organization was going to turn into another dumpster fire with Urban Meyer. Replacing Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence didn't look that great his rookie year, but I'll tell you what, man, they really turned it up in the second half of the year. I mean, had one of the best playoff comebacks of all time. Were super competitive in a game against against the Chiefs. Kind of reminds me of the 2020 Browns a little bit, except they have a really good quarterback. So, getting Calvin Ridley is going to be so big for Trevor Lawrence. Calvin Ridley already is one of the more underrated wide receivers in the NFL just because he missed a year. But I think he already was when he played for Atlanta. I think he was a borderline top 10 wide receiver.
Oh, yeah.
And when you play with a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence with how good he's getting, they're just going to complement each other so well. You bring Evan Ingram back. Christian Kirk is still there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're
look good.
They're loading up in Jacksonville, man.
Yeah, don't have a whole lot more to add to that with the Jacksonville. Although I do feel like there might be a little bit more regret. I think there's going to be a little bit of regression this year, just a tiny bit, like maybe a game or so.
Okay.
I think it'll just be on their defense. It just depends on how good their defense is going to be.
Yep.
Yeah, because defensively last year they were not that great.
They weren't. They were the number 26 defense in football.
Yeah, 28th against the pass. I mean, yeah, they were not good again to the quarterback either. They were bad on third down too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be something that they're going to have to improve on.
They need Trayvon Walker to
step it up.
Show why he was the number 1 pick.
Yep.
Step it up.
All right, let's get into. Want to do the AFC East or the AFC West?
Let's get the West over with.
Yeah, let's get the West over with.
All right, Kansas City number 4, Broncos
right.
number 1.
Yeah,
and
what are you talking about? Obviously, the number 1 team in that division is going to be the Denver Broncos.
I literally said the Broncos are going to be number 1.
Russ right now?
I'm just going to say top to bottom. It's going to be the Chiefs. Chiefs is number 1. Chargers definitely number 2. I'm just going to go right off the bat, rip it off already. Who's number 3? The Broncos, and then the Raiders. I think.
Yeah, that's how I have it too.
I think that's because not big on the Raiders at all. Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't believe it at all.
Although here's my thing though, I agree with 1 and 2. I'm flip-flopping 3 and 4. I think the Broncos are going to have another dumpster fire year.
I wouldn't be surprised actually.
And part of it too is you have Jimmy Garoppolo who's going to be going in there. He's familiar with that Josh McDaniels offense, so I think that's going to have a little bit of familiarity to it.
But here's the thing:
you bring back Josh Jacobs, you still have Devontae Adams. I understand that you lose Darren Waller, but
I don't think the Broncos can get much worse than they did last year. I mean, they had arguably one of the worst coaching performances of all time. Russell Wilson was as bad as you can get. I just don't think you can get worse than that. You know, I really don't. I think.
And I think the Raiders' defense is worse than the Broncos' defense, personally.
Yeah, but I tell you what, man, the Broncos, receiving core are already getting hit with the injury bug. Jerry Jeudy's going to miss some significant time with the hamstring. Tim Patrick tore his ACL.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean,
poor Tim Patrick.
Things are looking kind of bleak for Russell Wilson on the offensive side of the ball. Javonte Williams is coming back from the ACL tear.
Mm-hmm.
That ACL.
Yep, you're right.
Too, but if they can recover, I definitely see Jeff. I can't talk right now. I definitely can see why you have the Broncos at 4. I think those two are going to fight for the bottom. And, I agree that Jimmy Garoppolo knows that Josh McDaniels offense. But I am going to take the talent, the benefit of the doubt, because Russell Wilson over Jimmy Garoppolo. Yep. I think it's going to be really close between those two teams. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. They're going to have another incredible year. It's just how they are. I think the Chargers are going to have a great year too. I think the Chargers, it feels like we've been saying this every year for the past 2 or 3 years. We're just waiting for Justin Herbert to go nuts. But now that he's out, I love that they hired Kellen Moore as their offense coordinator. We saw what he did in Dallas. He was always, at the top of the group, offensively, led a top group in Dallas. The talent is there. Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Hopefully those two can stay healthy. Drafting Quentin Johnston, the talent is there. It's just if they can stay healthy, honestly, and it's the same for the defense.
Yep.
We were talking about their defensive unit last year like they were going to be world beaters. After getting Khalil Mack, signing J.C. Jackson, and they couldn't stay healthy. Derwin James was hurt again. J.C. Jackson missed most of the year. There's just,
They couldn't stop the run. They just couldn't stop the run.
Oh, my God. Their run defense was up.
They just could not stop the run at all. It was bad. Very bad.
But as long as you have a guy like Justin Herbert at quarterback, you're always going to have a good shot.
And then it was nice that they were able to have a game where the team was, trying to give, or the Chargers were trying to give the game away to a certain team, but the other team decided to do stupid things and still lose that game to the Chargers. Hunter could probably guess what team I am talking about.
Don't want to talk about it, Jeff.
Oh boy, but yeah. Other than that, let's get to the AFC East. We want to hurry up and get this one done before we get into the AFC North.
This could be a fun one.
Yep.
The AFC East.
So here, I'm gonna take this one. I'm gonna do the Jarryd route. I'm gonna go top to bottom, and we'll see.
Go for it.
I have the Buffalo Bills finishing number 1. I still have the Bills going to 1. Number 2 team, I have the Miami Dolphins at number 2. I have the New York Jets at 3, and then I have the New England Patriots at 4. I think that's kind of my not shocking prediction, but my prediction is I don't think the New York Jets make the playoffs this year. I don't think they're a playoff team, and I don't know what it is. I'm just not as high on them as most people are. And Jeff, this goes back to our earlier conversation about the Detroit Lions. When teams get that hype around them, it just never pans out well. Let's look at the 2019 Cleveland Browns. That was a dumpster fire of a season. We saw last year with the Denver Broncos. That was a terrible season. It's now you look at this Jets team. Aaron Rodgers is 39 years old. He wasn't the Aaron Rodgers that we knew last year. Hopefully the Jets are banking on him bouncing back. He was still a good quarterback, but, he wasn't Aaron Rodgers. You overpay guys like Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, some of his Green Bay guys to come in. It's like the Green Bay Jets, or the New York Packers. Garrett Wilson is going to boom this year, though. I will say that. Their defense is young and can be a solid group, but I need to see improvement there. I need to see improvement on the offensive line. But I'm just not as high on, the weapons in the offensive game outside of Garrett Wilson. Corey Davis stepping away was
pretty crazy.
was pretty crazy. The run game, with Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook, I am a fan of. But then again, it comes back to the offensive line for them. I'm just not super sold on their offensive line. And I don't know. There's just something about Aaron Rodgers. I just don't think he's ever going to go back to that MVP, that he was 2-3 years ago. I don't think he's declining. I think maybe slowly declining, but I just don't think he's Aaron Rodgers anymore. And that's why, I hope he proves me wrong, but I think there's too much talent in the AFC.
Oh yeah, there is. And I just think they're really overhyping the Jets a lot. This offseason, they just kept talking about the Jets with Aaron Rodgers and the talent. It's the Jets. That's all I keep hearing.
I will say, though, and I think my hot take is for this division is I don't think I would be surprised at all if the Miami Dolphins won the AFC East.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say when I got to that was because here's the thing with the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills, they're not as good as they were last year.
Nope. They're getting older.
Yeah, they're getting older. And, I mean, yes, Josh Allen is still Josh Allen. Stephon Diggs is, he's still great. But, I mean, you might start to see where he's going to start to do this a little bit, I think, over the next year or so. I mean, there are question marks with that team. They lost Tremaine Edmonds in free agency, which, I mean, obviously losing, a guy like that in the middle of your defense, that's always going to be questions. It's just,
and that's the thing too. Like you said, Jeff, and Von Miller missing the first 4 games of the year, and their defense is kind of their question mark. And they're just getting older on that side of the ball. And and I think they'll always be a playoff lock, not necessarily like top of the division, but they'll always be a playoff lock with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs for the next couple of years. But we've heard reports about Diggs possibly wanting out. I don't think Gabe Davis is not that wide receiver too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he proved that last year. I think everyone after that huge game in 2021 against the Chiefs thought he was going to come step into that wide receiver 2 role and be, insane. And he was very, very underwhelming, and there was at times where if the ball wasn't going to Stephon Diggs, it was Josh Allen trying to run or this offense was very stagnant, so, but again, Josh Allen is an incredible quarterback. So when you have an incredible guy like that, I mean, you're always going to be a playoff team. But I don't think it's a stretch. It's not a stretch at all to say that their Super Bowl window is closing and is getting close to being closed.
And here's the thing too, with when you go back and look at the draft, I don't think they necessarily really helped their team this year. They go and get Dalton Kincaid, which is like, I
guess.
I mean, but it's like you have Dawson Knox, who's, he's like, in terms of like, in the passing game, he's really like the number 2. So for them to get Dalton Kincaid, it's like, are you going to run a lot of 12 personnel? I don't think they're going to do that.
No.
So,
yeah.
Well, we're here for the division that we want.
Here we go. This is where fun happens.
Do either of you have the Cleveland Browns finishing last in the division?
Unfortunately, I have to put them down there.
Okay.
I have to. I'm just going to go with it right now. I'll start it off. I don't believe in Deshaun Watson. I want him to prove me wrong. I like Deshaun Watson as a player. Please.
I was going to say there, Jarryd.
As a player, please. Please, guys, chill out. All right? Take that out of context. But I'm not. I haven't really, like I said, I'm not. I'm a big Steeler fan. Of course, I'm gonna, probably pick my team with bias. But your defense, I just have some question marks on your defense. You have Myles Garrett. You still have a solid cornerback there. You got just some solid pieces. I'm just, are they going to be consistent on defense? And then I like your receivers. Your receivers I really like. I like, you got Cooper still there. You got Peoples-Jones, Njoku. You still got Nick Chubb carrying the ball. I love Nick Chubb. Great fantasy pick. I'm always going to rely on him. But I just got to see it. I just don't believe in the Cleveland Browns. I think they're just going to be the same old Browns, personally.
Yeah, that's fair.
Here's what I'm going to say about the Browns. And me and Hunter, we get to talking about them a lot because obviously we both live in Cleveland. Well, he's at Ohio State, but I live in the Cleveland area, so and obviously that's his team. So we do end up talking about them a lot. And this is things that we've talked about. Obviously, Deshaun Watson, there's question marks on him. You don't know. I don't think you're going to get the 2020 Deshaun Watson again, but I do think that there is a good shot that you could get a pretty damn good Deshaun Watson. Nick Chubb is Nick Chubb. There's nothing more that you have to be said. The wide receiver position, I have question marks, and it's more on the depth of it and I'm not even going to use the Amari Cooper because that's their number one, and you can say that about every team when they lose their number one. Say they were to lose someone like Elijah Moore or even a Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Shit, what you know about Big Sad, Jeff?
I don't know. Like, I don't.
Oh, you gonna know about
It's
Big
just
Sad.
They have David Bell too. He didn't really make a whole lot of impact last year. I have questions about the depth of that wide receiver core, and that's a huge thing that you have to have in the NFL. Offensive line wise, I think there's going to be a little bit of regression this year, and it's not going to be. I mean, obviously Jedrick Wills, he's one of the most hated guys in Cleveland. I mean, Joel Pettoni is a borderline Hall of Famer. Ethan Posick, I mean, he stepped in last year and played pretty well when he needed to. Can Wyatt Teller stay healthy? And can Jack Conklin stay healthy?
Yeah.
And then defensively, up front, obviously Zadarius Smith was a great pickup. And then Myles Garrett's going to be Myles Garrett. You know, he's going to be the second or third best pass rusher in the NFL. And then you have the interior that they had to improve that. They did. But I mean, it's a matter of we'll see. The linebacking core is questionable. I have questions about the linebacking core. And then the secondary, Juan Thornhill seems like a pretty damn good pickup. We'll see more of what that's going to be like. Denzel Ward's on his 88th concussion in 5 years.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Here's the thing. How much more, if he gets, say, another one, and I'm hoping he doesn't, but, it makes you start to wonder if he's going to really start to question his future in football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you have that. Greg Newsome, I mean, there was controversy about him earlier this year. That was kind of hilarious. And MJ Emerson, when he's not getting bullied by George Pickens, he was a pretty damn good pickup.
Right.
So
You post Pickens' stat line from that game and who won that game?
Oh, here we go. We have Mitch Trubisky. Here we go, guys.
Hey, Mitch Trubisky is from Menor, Ohio. Mitch Trubisky is
Oh
top
God,
tier.
Mitch Trubisky. Jesus.
But no, I think your guys' questions on the Browns are very are good questions. I think they're logical and they're real questions to ask. But as a Browns fan, I'm going to be a little biased, and that's
of course.
You guys are going to be like that towards Pittsburgh as well. Let's talk about it. I think the Cleveland Browns have a top 5 overall roster in the NFL, and I don't think they have any glaring weaknesses. Let's be honest here. The offensive line, yes.
I think linebacker would be.
Yeah, but I tell you what, man, JOK is going to be very good. I think you can definitely question Anthony Walker coming back this year off that significant knee injury. Same for Taki. And I think that's where the questions lie. But when those guys are both healthy, those guys are both solid.
Yeah, I feel like JOK last year was there were times where he was a little lost in the sauce.
Yeah, he was underwhelming last year, but the talent is there with him.
And listen,
and
let's be honest. And Hunter, you
a whole hell of a lot more than Joe Woods.
Well, and Hunter, and you and me could agree on this, and I know Justin's going to be able to agree on this as well. And I think Justin has said this before. There is one reason why you drafted JOK. There was one reason and one reason only.
Top Lamar Jackson.
You're damn right. And I don't blame him. He's a great talent, but it was just, I think linebacker would be the glaring question for me in terms of your guys's. I think that and wide receiver depth are my personal questions for you guys.
I think honestly, just based off what we've seen from Elijah Moore, and I know it's training camp in the preseason, but Elijah Moore has looked damn good. And I'm not putting any unrealistic expectations on him or anything like that, but if he can kind of be that wide receiver too that this team needs, that kind of like a gadget player almost, that you can use all over the field. That makes all the world of a difference for this team. But again, going back to kind of just our, back to the basics here, it all is going to come down to Deshaun Watson and how Deshaun Watson plays. If you get, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. If Deshaun Watson, can return to that 2020 form, like he was in Houston, I mean, it's going to sound crazy to say, but if he returns to the 2020 form, there's no reason why this team should not be competing for a Super Bowl. I mean, when you have a quarterback that good with a roster this talented, I think going into the offseason, I think our biggest thing we needed to address was the run defense and our defensive line. You go and you get to Zadarius Smith opposite of Myles Garrett. That's great. You get Okoronkwo from the Houston Texans, who is kind of one of the more underrated edge depth pieces in the NFL. I love the signing. You go out and you pay a lot of money to Dalvin Tomlinson, who's one of the better run stoppers in the NFL over the last couple of years.
Jesus, you needed that.
Yeah. You draft Siaka Ika in the 3rd round. And he's looked okay. Maurice Hurst, I know you just brought him back on the practice squad, but I thought he looked really well in the preseason. And I tell you what, Jeff, I called you during the Chiefs game, and I know it was against the Chiefs number 2s, so you have to put stock in that. But our defense looked damn good. They were flying all over the field, and the one person I was impressed with was JOK, flying all over the field, making plays. I do love the Juan Thornhill pickup, and I know a lot of people say, oh, him and John Johnson are kind of similar, like, overall players, But the thing is, man, you couldn't have gotten worse than what John Johnson kind of gave us, in Cleveland. So
Andrew Sendejo.
Well, yeah. I don't know, man. John Johnson was not that great, but I think Joe Woods is part to blame for that. But Juan Thornhill is a Super Bowl champion. He brings that to the team. Grant Delpit had a great second half of the year last year. Because for a while there, the first half of the year, his spot was being questioned. He turned it on in the second half of the year. I think he had 2 interceptions in the Commanders game. I mean, he was very good the last half of the year. The cornerback position, yes, Denzel Ward, you have to look at the concussions.
But in terms of him as a player, though, yes,
he's unbelievable. He's a great player.
Phenomenal.
Like you said, I mean, Merton Emerson is one of the young and upcoming corners in this league that I think is going to be very good. Greg Newsome has proven himself, to be a solid corner. I don't think he's on that star level, but he's a good corner. I think this defense has the potential to be very, very good, and, that was one thing we lacked last year. And, like I said, it's all going to come down to Deshaun Watson, and how he performs. But I'm really excited about the defense this year, too. So, I know none of us have really said it yet, but my AFC North rankings from top to bottom, I have the Cincinnati Bengals winning the division. I do. I just think they're the most talented team from top to bottom.
Agreed.
I think they're great, and especially when you have Joe Burrow, you're always going to be. But I'm going to be honest with you. I have the Cleveland Browns at number 2. I think the Browns will finish second this year. I think the Cleveland Browns are a playoff team. And, of course, that is partially biased, obviously, because I'm a Browns fan. But,
yeah.
I mean, I love this roster. I love Deshaun Watson. I think he's going to be great. And I think we have why can't we be a playoff team? We should be a playoff team, honestly. I do have the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 3. And that's what I'm saying is, I think 3 teams from the AFC North could be playoff teams, and I would not surprise me one bit. And it's hard. And the thing is, too, it's hard for me to pick against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know that's a crazy thing for me to say as a Browns fan, but, the Steelers have one of the more talented rosters in the NFL. And, Jeff, I know we had this conversation yesterday saying, Omar Khan has come in and done a great job with this roster, and like you said, Jeff, when you have a quarterback that's on his rookie contract, Omar Khan is doing exactly what he needed to do, is filling out this team. Filling out the needs of this team, addressing every need and filling it. I think George Pickens is going to go absolutely apeshit this year. I am so high on George Pickens, and it pains me that he's in my division.
And does it pain you even more that he could have been yours?
Yes, because remember, if you remember correctly, he's who I wanted at 43 before we traded it. I wanted George Pickens really bad. But, I think, the defense is always going to be, spectacular in Pittsburgh. Hopefully TJ Watt stays healthy for this whole season. But I think the biggest question for you guys, is obviously, Kenny had a great preseason, but that's the preseason.
Yep.
I mean, I got to remind you, Deshaun Kaiser had a hell of a preseason in 2017.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know that.
And I'm not saying, I think Kenny will be fine. I think Kenny will be a solid quarterback this year. I don't think he'll do anything otherworldly. I don't think I'm going to go the Andrew Filipponi route and say that after this season, Patrick Mahomes is going to be the only QB better than him.
We don't listen. Us, Pittsburgh.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think the biggest question mark for you guys right now is Najee Harris. What Najee Harris are you guys going to get? Because I'll tell you what, I drafted him in the first round of fantasy last year, thinking he was going to be damn good, and he was so underwhelming. And if you guys can, get that run game going, it just opens up so much more for a second-year quarterback like Kenny. I love Pat Freiermuth. I mean, you guys have such a solid team. And I
just love the O-line is improved, really. I think
that was huge.
I think that's what's going to help Najee this year a lot, is going to be this improved offensive line.
And I hope so.
Real quick to what Jarryd said, though, about that, what's ironic is the upgrade that you made, well, as of now, the one guaranteed upgrade, and possibly is going to eventually be two, was on the same side of the football that they ran really well on, where you had Dan Moore and Kevin Dotson. When they ran on that side of the football, or that side of the field, they ran the ball pretty damn well. But thank God, I mean, Isaac Seumalo he has been an absolute beast. And Dan Moore has not lost that job.
No.
And listen, and me and Jarryd have talked about this before. We were okay with Broderick Jones not starting week 1. We were okay with it because I also think part of it too was everyone thought that Broderick Jones was going to come in and just be this absolute juggernaut of a player, and that wasn't going to be the case. You couldn't expect him to go out there and immediately be the next Trent Williams or the next Joe Thomas or the next whoever. It was going to take time, especially because he didn't have a whole lot of time playing that left tackle position at Georgia. He really had one, and really it was one season plus like a game or two. So that was that. And then
I had a question, and I know I'm, you guys want to have your Steeler talk, but this is about fine. I think the one of the teams we haven't addressed in the AFC North yet, but I'm not that high on the Baltimore Ravens this year.
I agree.
And I don't know.
What it is?
Everyone's been raving this offseason about them finally getting Lamar Jackson some weapons. I just don't see it.
What weapons?
Here's my thing though with the Baltimore Ravens. For the first time in like a decade, I have real questions about their defense.
Yeah.
For the last decade, their defense has always been pretty damn solid or pretty damn good. This is the first year in a while where we have questions about the defense.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, Jeff. I have questions about their offense, too.
And
Can Lamar Jackson stay healthy?
You have that. And my biggest question is going to be, can Lamar Jackson keep up with the Todd Monken pass-heavy offense?
Yeah.
That's my question.
Yeah, how's that going to work out? That's all I'm really curious about.
And, too, all I heard off season, with the Baltimore Ravens is Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham Jr., Zay Flowers.
So.
Okay. Zay Flowers, looks like he could be I was very high on him coming into the NFL draft. And, I think he's going to be a very good wide receiver. But why are we acting like Odell Beckham Jr.? Why are we still acting? And Odell is one of my favorite players ever.
Yeah.
But why are we acting like this is still 2015? This is 8 years later where he doesn't have both of his ACLs. He's 30 years old.
Yep.
This is not the same Odell Beckham Jr. that we know. So I don't know. I think people are kind of putting some unrealistic expectations on Lamar Jackson and this offense in terms of the pass game. But I just.
And then on top of that, can J.K. Dobbins stay healthy?
Yeah.
I mean, Mark Andrews is always going to be great. I mean, he's always going to be very nice.
I mean, potential wise, if Odell can show glimpses of that old Odell, if Zay Flowers can be what he wants to be, or what he can be, then I mean this offense can be great. But at the same time, what ifs?
Well,
You know,
There we go.
those are big what ifs that we're talking about. You know,
oh yeah, it's a big if. I just their defense is the big question for the first time. Is I'm questioning it, like that. Like
I love it. I love it.
It's just we'll see what happens. I personally have the Steelers at 2, and the Ravens at 3, and then Cleveland at 4. So that's where I have it, and Cincinnati at 1, of course.
I'm going Cincinnati 1, Pittsburgh 2. I'm going Cleveland 3 and Baltimore 4.
And that's what I think that could happen too.
And
3.
And here's the thing too.
What?
I think the one advantage though that for Hunter and Cleveland that they have, you get to face all 3 divisional teams very early on. If you can get a head start, because we all know that Cincinnati is not, last year they started off 0-2, and the year before that they started out, on a little bit of a slower side. So we know that they start off a little bit slow, and we don't know what Joe Burrow's going to look like week 1 in terms of the calf.
Mm-hmm.
Week 2, I mean, that we don't know.
Anything can happen.
And then you have Baltimore, which I've said, I mean, Hunter has questions on the offense. I have questions on the defense. So clearly there's a lot of question marks with that team. Now, John Harbaugh is one of the better head coaches in the NFL. So he's going to find a way to make them a better team than probably what maybe we think they are. But I think that's one advantage that they do have. If you can get to a 2.
Let me ask you guys a question. So say after week 1, okay, because obviously we play you guys in Pittsburgh on week 2, and week 2 for Monday Night Football. Say week 1, Cincinnati comes in here, and say we beat Cincinnati by 2 touchdowns. Say Deshaun Watson and Joe Burrow plays. Say Deshaun Watson has a very solid game, and just everything clicks like it's supposed to. What do you guys think going into week 2? Is it still early to kind of be like, okay, maybe the Browns are, serious, but does it at least kind of like, okay,
I mean,
maybe
here's
we
my
should
thing
be.
though.
I need to see more.
And I'm gonna
personally
what Jarryd has said about the Browns. I'm also going to say the same thing about the Steelers. We talked. I think I said this exact quote last week on the pod was, talk to me at the bye.
Yeah.
Talk to me at the bye, and we'll have a real understanding of what this team is going to be.
Well, I mean, we're going to be undefeated at the bye, so
that's going to be impossible because you guys are losing week 2.
Deshaun Watson is walking into Pittsburgh week 2
and throwing 3 interceptions again.
He did.
He's gonna throw 4 touchdowns, and then he's gonna go get himself a nice. Never mind.
Okay.
Deshaun Watson is going into Arkish, whatever the hell it's called now.
And it's still Heinz Field.
Going into Heinz Field week 2.
Heinz Field, whatever.
He's taking names, baby.
Okay. I listen. We'll see.
Yeah, the only name he's going to be taking is an interception from Minka, probably one from Keanu Neal, and and he's going to meet a couple friends. His name is Cam Hayward and T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith. He's going to meet them a couple times as well.
He's going to meet them a couple times, and he's going to escape them a couple times.
Nah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, now that we're done with the divisions, we do awards.
All right, let's go. Here, I'm going to start off. MVP, Kenny Pickett. Offensive player, Najee Harris. Actually, no, we're going to go George Pickett. No, I'm just kidding.
God, you're such a tease, Jeff.
Oh, my gosh.
MVP, I think we're all just going to go.
I'm just going to go Mahomes for now.
Mahomes.
You know what? Saying that Mahomes is going to win the MVP was like back when Brady was on the Patriots. It's like, who's going to win the Super Bowl? It was so safe to say Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how it is now
I don't know.
I think, well, at least who you guys is your beginning of the season Super Bowl pick?
Oof.
Who over who?
I'm going to say the Arizona Cardinals over the Houston. Oh, wait, no, that's Super Bowl for the number 1 pick.
I know how unlikely this is to happen.
Oh, boy.
But I think we get a rematch of last year.
Oh, Chiefs. Yeah, I can see it.
And I have the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Philadelphia Eagles again.
I'm gonna say Eagles and Bengals for now,
That was going to be my second one.
because that's what I think is more likely to happen. But we'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
It's obviously going to be Browns 49ers.
Oh dear
And
Lord,
the Browns are going to win the Super Bowl.
it's crazy.
Obviously, it's not going to happen. But what would your guys' true reactions be if the Browns won the Super Bowl this year?
About damn time.
A broken clock strike is correct 2 times a day.
Hey,
I
I
say-
don't care. I would
Except this clock has been going for a billion years.
Hey, I would sell my soul for a Super Bowl.
I know you would. I know you would.
Listen, hold on, Jarryd. I'm going to say this. I'm not going to expose the group chat, but the things that have been said about things that will happen for them to win the Super Bowl,
We'll see what happens.
I won't expose. We'll just say that. But MVP, I think, are we all just going to go with the safe pick and say Mahomes?
Mahomes.
Let's go offensive player of the year.
Is it usually quarterback, right? No, it's
Now,
not.
offensive player of the year is usually like the
Receiver.
receiver, running back, whatever.
I'm going to go off on a limb this year. I'm going to say CeeDee Lamb.
Interesting. I don't think it'll be JJ this year, Justin Jefferson. It's going to be someone else. Oh,
I was going between CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase.
I can see Jamar.
I could also see Cooper Kupp if he's healthy for week 1. I could see him making a run at it again.
What about AJ Brown?
Nah.
It's not a bad one, but
It's not a bad one.
Just throwing it out there. I'm not saying it will, but it's another player I would think. What about Christian McCaffrey? Does he give it to the running back usually? No.
I mean, I don't see it being him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, I don't know. The offensive player of the year is tough. I think I'm gonna go. Who won it? I forget who won it last year.
Jefferson.
Okay. I don't see him winning it 2 years in a row. I think I'm gonna go with Jamar Chase.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair. I'm trying to think if there's anyone I'm missing.
Not that I really know of, no.
Yeah, I don't think.
We'll find out.
You think maybe there's a shot Garrett Wilson does?
That's a possibility. That means the Jets have to be really good.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Defensive player of the year.
TJ Watt. Easily.
Come on. Jeff, you know it. Come on.
Hey,
Jeff,
he already
you
knows
know
what he's
it.
gonna pick. You already know who's he gonna pick.
You know.
Why is this a question?
I mean, he finally gets his help on the defensive line.
Oh,
He's breaking that sack record, baby.
Oh boy.
That's gonna be crazy because TJ Watt's breaking his own sack record this year.
That's cool. They can both break the sack record. That's fine. But Myles Garrett's getting more.
No,
We'll see.
no. Yeah.
And-
it's gonna end up. It's literally gonna. You know what's gonna be funny is me and Jarryd are gonna say TJ Watt. Hunter's gonna say, he's gonna say Myles Garrett just for it to be like Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
No, I think it's either going to be one of these 5 players. I think it'll be Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa if he plays, or Chris Jones.
If he plays.
If he plays
If
too.
he plays. But if not, then I could see maybe a guy like Sauce Gardner if he has another great year.
That's possible.
But honestly,
It's hard for a corner to win it.
In 100% all honesty, if I had to be a betting man right now, I am going to take Myles Garrett. Just based on the help that they got him on the defensive line. He's not going to be facing double and triple teams as much with Zadarius Smith on the other side. I think this is the year. I mean, that's also another broken clock thing I think we've been talking about for the last 4 years, is we've been waiting for Myles Garrett to win his Defensive Player of the Year award. I think this is the year that he does it.
Here's my only thing that I think that hurts Miles over someone like TJ. And obviously, this year could be a little bit different for you guys based on the fact that you actually have someone who could play some depth on as an edge rusher and possibly give Myles Garrett a breather. But I think part of it is too is, and Hunter, you've seen it. I mean, how many times has Myles Garrett felt like he's kind of, it's like a missing report on where Myles Garrett at in the fourth quarter.
See, it's kind of funny you mentioned that, though, because I knew that's what you were going to mention. And since the last time we had that conversation, I wanted to go see for myself, see if he's had any clutch plays in the fourth quarter.
And I'm not saying, and I think what you're going to say, I'm not talking about like the late, because I know we had talked about this last week or something like that. I'm just talking overall.
He's got more than you think. Because he has more than I thought too. It's probably it's not on TJ's level, it's not, but he has more than we think. Because I kind of was a little surprised too. His biggest one coming in that divisional round against the Chiefs in 2020. I would say that's probably his biggest one. Late in the game when we needed give us one more drive, he had a huge sack on third down. On Chad Henne. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that.
Oh, Chad Henne.
Third and a mile.
I'll get you. All right.
All right. So, I mean, at this point, we kind of figured that was going to go the way it went. Let's go offensive rookie of the year.
Bijan Robinson?
No.
Yeah, I'm going to go Jordan Addison.
Ooh, Jordan Addison. What do you mean, no?
I
know you're going to say JSN, Jeff.
No.
No, wait, hold on. Don't tell me then. Hold on. I'm thinking.
Who else? CJ Stroud?
No.
Don't give me some bullshit Steelers answer.
No.
No, it's definitely not. Bryce Young?
Listen, my gut feeling is just going to say they're just going to give it to Bryce Young. I think unless I got that feeling it's just going to end up being him. I think, I mean,
no, I get it.
Bias it is for quarterbacks.
Well, I get it.
Yeah.
All right. And then we get into defensive rookie of the year. I think I'm going to go with, I'm going
to go with Devin Witherspoon.
Oh, interesting.
Ooh.
Give me Devin Witherspoon. I like it.
Interesting.
I think about it for a second.
I could see someone like Brian Branch.
That's another good one.
I think Will Anderson and D'Amico Ryans.
Will Anderson's another one. Yeah.
I think Will Anderson.
Like that's the favorite right there.
Yeah.
Well, he's actually not the favorite, but that is a very good pickup.
Oh, he's not.
Jalen Carter.
Oh,
makes
yeah.
sense.
But I also got this feeling that like he's going to make plays, but he's not going to do enough to win the award.
I get you.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That's fair.
So,
I think we already know who comeback player of the year is. It's already know what's going to happen. They're going to give it to him.
Yeah.
It obviously should be Deshaun Watson.
Oh, dear God.
It's clearly going to be Calvin Ridley. Now we all know damn well how this is going to go.
It's going to go DeMar Hamlin, guys.
Yep.
Like, that's how it's.
There's no way it doesn't.
That's how it's going to go. But
who's your guys' most disappointing team this year?
I'm going to go with the Jets.
I'm going to go with the Jets as well.
I think it's so easy to say it though, and I'm not like it. To me, it just seems like it's
honestly. I think another team. I think a long shot that I said earlier could be maybe the San Francisco 49ers, depending on what they do.
Yep.
You know what? Here's a long shot team that I could see having a year that's not as good.
Don't tell me. AFC, NFC.
AFC.
Bills.
No.
There was an AFC team I was going to say.
The Jags?
No.
I was going to say the Denver Broncos.
I was going to go with the Dolphins.
It's another one. No, I can see it.
I'm saying it's a long shot, but it wouldn't fully shock me.
Yeah,
Not
if
yet.
Tua just came out and wasn't in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most surprising team.
Most surprising. I'm gonna stick with my guns. I'm gonna go with the Commanders. I think the most shocking team is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. No, I'm just kidding.
Obviously, the bias in me wants to say the Cleveland Browns, but I'm gonna say the Detroit Lions, just in terms of how good I think they'll actually be.
I'm just gonna stick with Hunter, the Lions, because I gotta really think that's a surprising team. Personally,
or the New Orleans Saints.
Saints. That's another one.
Yeah.
So.
Other than that, yeah.
Other than that, I think and Marcus over here, he said the Lions. So, so other than that, I think that's about it. Yep. I do want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for sticking out and chatting with us. It was a blast. Hunter, obviously, of course, thank you for coming on. This was actually his idea.
Thanks for you, Jeffy.
He texted me. He was like, "Are you doing an NFL preview show?" Wasn't planning on it, but we can now. But
one of these days, maybe when the Browns Steelers game is in Cleveland, if you don't go, Jeff, we could the three of us or whoever wants to, maybe Herb too, if he wants to, we could all hop on here and do a joint reaction to the game.
Yeah, that, or you know what would be funny is if me and Hunter or whatever, we get we're together during a Browns Steelers game and do a live reaction stream where it's both of us.
Oh, that'd be fun.
That'd be a blast.
We should, what we should do?
What?
We should do a 4-on-4 reaction, tag team reaction. It could be you two, Herb, and a fourth guy of your choosing, and it can be me, Justin, Dan, and Parker.
I know where that's going to go. That's just going to turn into a giant ass roast session.
But tell me that wouldn't be the funniest video of all time.
And then what's going to be even funnier is it's going to come down to Daniel and Justin or Daniel and Parker going at it with each other.
Yeah. It's why are two guys on the same team arguing?
Oh, it was it goes back to a real throwback to when Batista and The Undertaker were teammates against Shawn Michaels and John Cena.
Oh yeah. Dude, could you imagine how fun that would be though? Oh my goodness.
There could be some fun with this. Might have some fun this season. But do want to say thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys did, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment. And obviously, next week, we're going to do a live stream. Me and Jarryd, we're going to be together at the Airbnb in Pittsburgh. We're just going to have a chill, fun time. It's going to be a blast. Can't wait to see the Steelers go 1-0 again for the fourth straight season. I guess the San Francisco 49ers. It's going to be a blast. Hope to see you guys all there at the tailgates. And until then, have a great weekend. Stay safe. Oh, by the way, time out. We forgot something. Jarryd thought I was going to forget this.
Why can't we just get off, man?
So, Hunter, we have this thing now because Jarryd is a Yankee fan.
Oh, yeah.
So, I've been having some fun. And Hunter's a baseball guy.
I know he is.
Big baseball guy.
Let's talk about how shitty the New
York
Yankees
the sad thing
are.
is, Jeff? Is that the Yankees are in last place in the AL East, and they're dog shit, and they're better than us by one game.
They also are they're supposed to be good.
Yeah,
they're supposed to be great.
Here we go.
They spend $1 billion. We get to spend peanuts.
They act like it's our fault for spending money.
Though, Jarryd, because I'll be honest with you, man. Looking at their roster, I just can't believe for the Yankees, how poorly constructed it is.
Oh, I know. You're telling me.
Honest to God, I think the only untouchable players on the Yankees should be Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, probably for his contract, probably Carlos Rodon.
I'll keep Gleyber Torres. He's doing pretty good.
Gleyber's been good. Anthony Volpe,
Volpe's going to be good.
I would. Those are the five that I would not trade. But anyone other than that. Wait, did Dominguez play today?
No, they play for tomorrow. Dominguez and Austin Wells play tomorrow.
Oh, that'll be cool. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, it's about damn time. Oh well, Cashman trying to save his job. Whatever. I don't like the guy. I hate him. I want him gone. Of course you do.
Hire me. Hire me. I'd make the Yankees a powerhouse again.
Gosh, man, the way that is constructed with this team, man. They waste too much money. They trade good players away.
Contract.
They trade good players away. Look how Gio Urshela is doing on the other teams. Now it's terrible. I'm just gonna.
Yep.
Wasted third.
Now we're done.
Oh, now we're
Now
done.
that we've gotten that out of the way.
Thanks.
But until then, hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Go Steelers.
Go
Fuck
Browns.
the Yankees. Fuck
Go
the
Browns.
Browns.
Guards are winning. Guards are winning
Peace
the
out.
AL Central.
Nah.
Peace out. Fuck the Browns.